Hi, I'm John. Welcome back to Dice Paper Miniatures. Well, we have another Sunday preview that just came out for pre-orders for next Saturday, and this looks like a pretty good one, I think, especially if you're in the Kill Team and those new Chaos Knights that just came out. I think this next Saturday could be a good one. Well, good for you, bad for your wallet for next Saturday's pre-order. All right, let's check it out. All right, so we're back at it. And like I said, in this episode, we're looking at the Sunday preview. And we got some really cool announcements, I think, especially if you are a Kill Team player. So this new Kill Team Moroch, it still boggles my mind that this is the terrain pieces we're getting for this new expansion. This is that stuff from that Battlefield Fronteras, the Necromunda expansion that came out like maybe a couple months ago. That was like $220. Now, I haven't got the prices yet for this. I'm assuming if it holds true, it's going to be in that $195-ish price point. But we should know closer to middle to end of the week what we're looking at for a price. So definitely keep your eyes open for that. But I dig this box composition. We've seen this reveal back, I believe it was in Warhammer Fest, but it's these new Adeptus Traitoris, to be exact. But yeah, we get this re-release of the Chaos Commissar and the Chaos Ogryn, which I'm really excited about. Those were previous release in the Blackstone Fortress, and we haven't seen them for a couple years now. And if you try to get them individually as that one box set on eBay, you're looking at like a $300 some box. And so, yeah, kind of a bummer for those folks that are trying to make some money, but definitely a great thing for us that we get these now re-released in this box set, again, in my opinion. Now, that being said, the Space Marine side of this Phobos armor, it's okay. It's models we've had. It's just an upgrade sprue. It is what it is. But I'm hoping for the rules in this expansion allows them to shine a little brighter because yeah, they're just okay. But yeah, I think the big takeaway is going to be this Fronteras terrain. You know, we have dice, of course. Let's go back up to this preview image. If it comes under $200, I think it's great. Now, I know there's a huge amount of discourse about the value of GW products. I get it. But the thing is, this stuff always is expensive. Doesn't matter if it was the late 80s, the early to mid 90s, when fine cast hit to the new plastics. The stuff is arguably overpriced. It just is what it is. You can complain about it a lot in videos. I get that. It'll probably spike your subscribers. I'm not thrilled with these prices either. Short of a miracle, I don't know how they really go down. You know, the thing is, if you like these games from Games Workshop and you like Kill Team, I think this expansion is one of the best ones visually that they've put together so far. I think, in fact, most of these Kill Team expansions they've hit out of the park on this new release. The caveat being is I'm not entirely sure I like the new rule set, but I like these compositions. Are they expensive? Heck yeah. Does it make me reconsider buying them from time to time? Definitely. If there's good proxies or 3D printed versions, consider them. It's just obviously if you're going to a Games Workshop sanctioned event, usually those tournament organizers are going to impose that you have GW models. Short of that, unless they can come across a new process that gets their costs even further down, I don't even know if that matters, right? Because plastic was supposed to be cheaper than fine cast. Fine cast was supposed to be cheaper than metal. And at the end of the day, while the production costs may have been cheaper, they still increased their prices. It is what it is. For me, though, I think this is a great set. I am struggling on a personal note to keep up with some of these releases because back in the day, it took forever for what seemed to be small box releases to come out. Now it's just like every week. So that for me, that's the part that gets really expensive because it's just another multiplier. Not only did they increase the price of these expansions, but then they just increase the volume at which they come out. I do wish they would consider finding a way to get their prices a little bit more dialed in, to sure what the market suggests, but who's the market? When you're so big like Games Workshop, you kind of dictate what you can put these things at as far as costs. It just is what it is. Magic the Gathering does the same thing. I hate how much those cards cost now versus when I was working at a comic/game store in the 90s. That's just the reality of things anymore. And if they start pricing these things out of your budget, makes sense. Sometimes you just can't have everything you want. And if an alternative game system like Dead Zone from Mantic, and I'm totally getting off on a tangent here, or one-page rules, super indie developers like that, totally go that route. Speaking as a past indie game developer, I liked when people had like frustrations with the big boys because it did drive them to our business. Unfortunately, it still didn't drive them enough to indies, and you don't see indies survive even if their prices are lower. They still have to have a compelling reason to buy those other games. And so far, Games Workshop still gives people enough of a compelling reason, not for everyone, but still enough of a reason to pick these up. Just saying, if you have a good enough game and you have great looking models and you're consistent with your releases, that is probably the biggest sticky point I have with Games Workshop lately. Their fulfillment is really bad, arguably worse than their prices. And I see a lot of channels still complain about their prices, but it seems like every time these things come out, you probably should jump on them. And that's why I do these videos, especially for Preview Sunday. Because of this whole, we have a preview, then a pre-order. If you don't jump on these things soon, and I get it, it's the FOMO, there's a good chance you'll miss out. Again, totally get why that's frustrating. I have a lot of videos that speak to that. I'm speaking to it right now. It is frustrating. But again, if you like these games and it's within your budget, heads up, this one's going to pre-order next Saturday. All right, tangent over. Let's get back to these other upcoming releases. So if you missed that new Chaos Knights box set, they sold out pretty quick, but GW was pretty quick on this one to get the new codexes out and the repacks of the Abominant, and it looks like, I believe it's the War Dogs, as well. So again, if you missed the box set, it is a bummer because the value was a little bit better. I get it, still expensive, but it's definitely cheaper than buying these a la carte. I don't know about you. Yeah, $200 is expensive, but if I can save $100 or more, I don't know what to tell you. But yeah, the only thing that's a bit of a personal, I wish they were also quick about something else, and that would be Necromunda. When this box set came out, it was shortly around the same time that the Ash Waste box just came out. And here they already have the new a la carte for all the Chaos Knight stuff. But the actual, what I would call the real rules for Ash Waste, the new Outland supplement book that's coming out, I was hoping to see that for this Sunday. And heads up, it's not. Little foreshadowing here. But yeah. Now, the folks down under, here in the States, we complain about costs and shipping delays. Unfortunately, Australia even has it worse. But hey, heads up, you do have access to all the new Tyranid stuff coming out. It's definitely been delayed. And again, that goes to that fulfillment thing. If we as consumers have to pay more for these things now, I would definitely appreciate get these things to drop if you can on time. Again, that is where I feel like you're a multi-million-dollar company. You have established distribution all around the world now. I get it. Pandemic, whatever. You've had years before that to get this stuff kind of dialed in, especially when you're considered a premium brand. That's where I can totally get on board with all the discourse as far as cost increase and this and that. I think these companies got a little laxed with how things could be disrupted like they are now in the past. They could have been looking forward to the future, not just relying on a country like China to make everything. Get some localized productions going. It'll help with those local economies, but also help with when there's a disruption coming from overseas, you have not only warehouses to store the stuff localized, but you could get these things produced. That cost that we're paying more for because of things like VAT taxes, I still think there's got to be a way you can get these things somewhat more on time and at a better price point if you had localized production. I know there's going to be a lot of people that push back on that comment. I get it. But there does have to be some changes made because we're going to continue to see these shipping disruptions, especially in countries that have more strict lockdown rules than other countries. This is what it is. Now, that being said, I mentioned Necromunda, and I was bummed that we didn't get that book released for this coming Saturday. However, they kind of snuck in a new piece of terrain. So we have the Thedos Pattern Extended Hab Module. Again, I would have preferred the book, but here's a piece of terrain. It's cool looking. All these things are really well done. In fact, if you haven't yet, the designer of this terrain, Owen Patton, I believe is his name, he's on Twitter. He's been releasing a ton of little short tutorials, if you will, on how to combine this terrain with other existing Warhammer 40K, specifically Warhammer 40K terrain. And the combinations are amazing. So I definitely would recommend following Owen to see what different combinations you can arrange your Ash Waste terrain. Heck, or 40K terrain for that matter, because they're kind of interchangeable. And it's really cool. Really, really impressed the more I see how it's used or how it could be used by Owen, that it gets me excited when I do see these terrain announcements for Ash Waste. Again, it's probably going to be expensive. That should just be a given anymore. But yeah, I do think it fits right in. And it looks like they're already going to be breaking down the terrain kit that we had in the Ash Waste box set into individual terrain kits, which, cool. It's definitely going to be more pricey when you buy these things a la carte, but sometimes you just want a few components. So if that's all you're going to get, then it is cheaper. Cheaper, air quotes, but still going to be pricey. You've probably figured out throughout the course of this video, I'm definitely speaking more towards people's concerns over cost of things. I had a few comments kind of out of left field over the weekend on one of my older videos, and I can only imagine those were based off of another YouTube content creator. They did a video on that same content, but like a day ago. And I think it stirred up a lot of this pricing issues again. And so because they watched that video from a bigger channel, YouTube probably recommended my older video. And of course, my older video talks about how it's a great deal. Again, if I'm going to want something and I can get that thing for a couple $100 cheaper, that to me is a good value. Is it still expensive? Yeah. It's like going to buy a new car. If I get a bunch of rebates that save me like $5,000 on a $50,000 car, yeah, that's an expensive car, but it still saves me $5,000. So $5,000 is a lot of money to save. It's maybe not the best analogy, and you can slice it and dice it and have all sorts of counter arguments. I get it. I counter argue myself all the time. But there is an understanding after 40 years of GW constantly being like the most expensive brand in the market. In fact, they're so big, they're kind of their own market. To compare them to other game companies and to say, hey, we need to do something as a community to bring their costs down, I'm all for that, but good luck. I was complaining back in the 90s when character models went from $6.95 to $9.95. Guess what? Now they're like $40 now. So 40 years later, well, 30 years later, you either continue to play the game and buy what GW thinks their stuff is worth, or you don't. I drive a Chevy. Is that a great brand? No. Typically, it's pretty cheap. It's just, it's an average American vehicle. Some people really love their Chevys. Some people think Chevy's garbage. That's just like, to quote the dude from The Big Lebowski, that's just like your opinion, man. You're either gonna buy the thing you like and enjoy it, or you're not. If enough people think they can get on board to affect the pricing of GW, knock yourselves out. I'm all for it. If you can help get this cost lower, if something I say in a video helps get these prices lower, cool. I'm just saying, if you want something changed, you almost have to be the change you want. And the only thing those videos that are out there that complain about prices all the time, that's their shtick. I think it's a great way of increasing your subs. And maybe I should be doing more content like that. I will talk to prices, I will talk to fulfillment, but it's not the only thing I want to focus on. Again, if you dig this stuff and it's within your budget, go for it. It's cool. And I'd recommend when you do go for it, buy it in those value boxes because they are cheaper in the long run. Are the points going to be balanced? Is it still an expensive box? Heck yeah. Yeah, it is. Love them or hate them, this is how they got to be at the top. Will there be a new competitor down the road? Probably. Will GW get knocked off the top rung at some point? Probably. But for now, if you're a plastic crack addict, they got the drug for you. All right, well, that's pretty much it for this Sunday. Actually, I would say it's more of a quality over quantity on this pre-order Saturday. I dig what they have for Necromunda. I dig what they're doing with these Chaos Knights. I think it's great that they're finally getting the Tyranid stuff over to Australia. And this new kill team, probably my favorite expansion out of this new season so far. Season or rule set, whatever. Definitely probably my favorite so far. I love that new terrain. For me, that was one of those situations where I just didn't buy it because it was just priced out of my budget. Like I said, it does happen. Happens to me, happens to a lot of folks. But I think this is a great compromise to get some of those new terrain elements, as well as a cool new kill team, specifically the Traitor Guard. And then, again, if you're a Space Marines player and you wanted that upgrade sprue, great. Here's a way of getting it. I think at least the terrain and the Traitor Guard make this set. And at least the Space Marine half isn't horrible. It's just okay. But combined with the other two things, I think it's great. Well, I do hope you enjoyed this content. And if you did, please consider subscribing, liking, and sharing this content with your friends. I know I had a lot of tangents aside in this one. Like I said, I had some salty comments over the weekend, and I kind of want to address those in this particular video. So there you go. Well, as always, I hope you're doing well. Be safe, take care, and I'll see you all again soon. Bye-bye.